Hey guys, what's going on? McMole2 here. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm doing a video where we're going to talk about the state of the game with Galaxy of Heroes. There's been a lot of concern from the player base recently. There's been a lot of discontent among a lot of people. There's also been a lot of burnout too, and it's just something we need to talk about. Their overall state of the game right now is really not that good. Territory battles has kind of pushed it over the edge for a lot of people. There's a lot of farming issues lately, a lot of money grabbing issues that people have been complaining about. So I think it's time that we just need to sit down and we need to talk about the state of the game. Hopefully the devs see this video and hopefully they listen to some of the stuff that's going on in this video, because this is something they really need to listen to as well. They haven't really been listening to the community a lot lately, or at least they haven't been taking the feedback to heart, and I'm hoping that this video is going to be something they can at least listen to and figure out that there's a lot of complaints from players coming from the game right now. So let's go ahead and break down some of the current issues with the game, and the first thing up is going to be the Zeta and gear crunch. We also have the fact that there's just too much content, there's a lot of time commitment, and then lastly we have the last second notices on new content, the panic farming, and the overall lack of communication. There's going to be timestamps down below in the video description where you guys can skip ahead to each part if you guys want to. I know you guys probably don't want to listen to me talk this entire time, so if you want to skip to a certain part, just look at the timestamps down below in the video description. So let's go ahead and start with the Zeta and gear crunch, and then we will go from there. First up with the Zeta crunch, we currently have 69 Zeta abilities in the game. In the course of me saying that, CG has probably added another 4 or 5 to the game, whatever. Anyways, 69 Zeta abilities, that comes out to 1,380 Zeta ability materials. You're getting about 4 or 5 new abilities each month with reworks or factions or anything like that. You're getting a few more Zeta abilities each month. But the problem here is that your average player earns about 15 Zeta ability materials a month. That's if they're throwing all their fleet currency at the Zeta materials, if they're getting at least a decent drop rate from the challenges. We have players who haven't gotten Zeta ability materials in 2 or 3 weeks. The drop rate is pretty low on that challenge sometimes, and RNG just really screws us over sometimes. But anyways, the problem here is that there's too many Zeta abilities. We don't have enough ways to farm the materials for these Zeta abilities, and this is really starting to push people over the edge, because now they're really starting to fall behind the meta, because the meta revolves around a lot of Zeta abilities, and players just aren't able to keep up because they can't farm the Zeta ability materials that they're looking for. So I have a few solutions for the Zeta crunch. The first one is that the ability match challenge that comes every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, we need a new tier on it that adds Zeta ability materials. Maybe add it on to the final tier where we get Omega Mats already. We need more Zeta materials, and this is a prime way to get more, is by adding them to that challenge. We also could look at adding Zetas to your territory battle rewards. It's pretty spaced out. We're getting a territory battle completion every 11 or 12 days, so getting like say 3 or 4 Zeta materials every territory battles, that will be a nice boost. It's going to get people a lot more invested in territory battles already, and that's something we're not seeing. There's a lot of people getting burnt out on territory battles already. We'll talk about that more later on, but if you can add Zeta materials into those territory battle rewards, that'd be a huge boost to the rewards, and a lot more people would be a lot more invested in your territory battles. And finally, we need to look at increasing the drop rate for the ship challenges. The fact that we only get 2 ship challenges and we have a chance to get Zeta materials in those ship challenges is a problem. Either increase the amount of ship challenges we can do a day up to 3, 4, even 5, or really increase the rate of your Zeta materials in those challenges. Make it at least 1 minimum, or increase the drop rate, or increase the maximum amount we can get up to 3 or 4 per challenge. That way we can get more Zeta materials from those, and you don't have players who are getting none over a course of 3 or 4 weeks. So those are my 3 solutions for the Zeta crunch problem. Next up, with the gear crunch, we have a lot of gear pieces that are severely imbalanced. Some of us have thousands of certain pieces that we just never use, and then we are starving for Carbantes. We can't get enough Carbantes in the game. We need over 300, I believe, to fully gear all of our characters in our accounts. We're not asking to have all the Carbantes dropped on us at once, but the fact that we are barely getting 1 Carbante from challenges a week is a problem. We aren't getting a lot from donations because you only get 5 at a time for donations, and the drop rates on them and the missions is pretty low as well. So Carbantes is another problem. Gear 11 finishers, we also have to, buy those from shipments. We may get some from territory battles. That's also another problem. I'm not asking for a huge influx of Gear 11 finishers, but there's also some of those also require a lot of gear, like a stun gun that needs Mark 8 biotech implant. We need more Carbantes. Some of these Gear 11 finisher pieces are absolutely absurd in the amount of gear it's asking for, and that's a huge problem for this gear crunch because we're already being strapped for Carbantes. Carbantes is pretty much the main thing that people are going to complain about. Also stun cuffs, we have a huge problem with stun cuffs as well. So we need to get more gear somehow. Flash events was a nice way to help deal with that because they revamped the flash event rewards later on. We could get some pretty nice purple gear from the higher tiers of those flash events, but they're too sporadic, and they've also taken away the flash events for some reason, and we don't have those anymore. So that's the main problem with the gear crunch. Some possible solutions for your gear crunch problem is, number one, revamp the rewards on the Tactics Challenge. This is the one where you fight Mace Windu. There's a lot of gear there we don't use a lot of. The Mark 5 power cells are needed by quite a few characters. The Mark 4 stun guns, those can stay around as well. The Mark 8 binoculars, they are used, but we only need about 1,000 to 2,000 of them total, and I have 2,000 to 3,000 in surplus in my account already, and now they're just taking up space, and I don't need them anymore. A lot of people have suggested trying to add in stun cuffs to your Tactics Challenge. That would be a welcome change because stun cuffs are needed a lot more than your Mark 8 binoculars. So if we can somehow revamp the Tactics Challenges, get the stun cuffs in there somewhere, that would be great. Also, really increase the gear rewards from challenges overall. If you look at the max rewards for the top tier of the Strength Challenge, we can get up to 7 Carbantes, but I have seen maybe 3 or 4 times ever since that was revamped, and that was this last quality of life update last October and November, that we could get 7 Carbantes in that challenge. But in that time, barely anyone has ever gotten 7 Carbantes from that challenge. It is increasingly rare to get it, and that's a huge problem because people see they can get those 7, but when they never get those 7 Carbantes from that challenge, that is a huge problem that really demoralizes your players because now they know I'm never going to get these rewards. I know they're there, but it's impossible for me to get it, and now they feel like they're missing out. So increase the rate of the gear drops in those challenges, make it more possible to get those maximum gear drops, because right now it's maybe a 0.01% chance you ever get that max drop rate. Now, when it comes to time commitment for this game, there's a lot of separate times we have to log into this game to participate. We have 3 different times we claim bonus energy, we have our character and ship arena payouts, we have cooldowns on challenges, we have raids that we have to do, sometimes it's Zerg, sometimes it's an overall staggered phases, who knows. We also have territory battles now, and each phase in territory battles takes about 40 to 50 minutes for your average player to complete. So there's a lot of logging in and logging out of this game right now, and it does feel frustrating because a lot of people are having to adjust their real life schedule around the game, and a mobile game should never be like that. You should not have to schedule your real life around the times of a mobile game. The mobile game should be the one that's more flexible so that you can adjust your schedule in the mobile game to deal with real life problems. That is a big issue. It's not very friendly to a lot of your players who have families or real life commitments, and this has been a lot of the burnout lately is because now we have territory battles where we have to spend 40 to 50 minutes of one time to knock out all these combat missions and platoon missions and special missions, and that's been a main problem with the burnout in the community lately is territory battles just takes up so much time and so much commitment now that you're really having to schedule your life to play this game, and that is not something good for this game. It's not really good for any game really, but this is especially a problem for a mobile game, and this also goes into the too much content we'll cover here in a minute. But really, the fact that I'm having to log in every 10 minutes just to press the sim button for a challenge is also really a problem. I just want to be able to sim all the challenges at one time, and that's one of my solutions is get rid of the cooldowns on the challenges. I get that you want to have players logging into the game constantly, spending more time playing the game, but we're already spending so much time playing the game that it's starting to get annoying where we're having to come back in every 10 minutes to sim a challenge, and that's it. We're just pressing the sim button, we get some gear, we log out of the game, we come back 10 minutes later. This is a problem here. There's just too much time that we're having to spend in this game, and having to come back in for those challenges is a problem there. Another thing is ticket tracking. This has been a problem with guilds for as long as I can remember. We have to go through and do a spreadsheet and track how many people or how many tickets each person has done for the guild each day, so we can then do some math to figure out if they have their 600 tickets for the day. This is not fun. I've never done this personally. I've seen the spreadsheets people do. This spreadsheet looks like it's too much work for a mobile game. We should not be having to do a spreadsheet where we're having to sit there and track the 600 tickets on each player separately. They need to fix the system in the game that tracks our daily tickets. This has been a problem for a long time. They've not fixed it. They did fix it once and then it broke right away. This has to get fixed, CG. This is absolutely annoying. This has not been fixed yet, and it needs to get fixed now, especially with all these people who are getting burnt out, the guild officers having to manage territory battles. This needs to get fixed. It's been too long. You need to fix it. Anyways, going on to another thing, mods. Mod sets have been something that we have been asking for a long time. We are due for a quality of life update. It's been a year since we got our last quality of life update, a real substantial one that gave the bonuses to Galactic War, completely revamped the challenges, anything like that. We need mod sets in this game. It takes me 5 minutes to swap out the mods for my characters. I'm having to sort through things. I've basically learned the position of the mods on the page where it's showing all the different mods I can use. So I've learned over time. It's helped cut down the time a little bit. But the fact that if I had mod sets that I could just program in, that would make things so much easier. I could swap in and out. It would take 30 seconds to a minute just to swap out the mods. This is something people have been asking for. This is something else you guys should really look at putting into this game. It's definitely something that your players are looking for, and it's going to be a huge boost. People are going to be really thankful for the mod sets. So definitely look at mod sets. That is something I suggest they look at doing, because people have been really wanting it, and it's really going to help cut down on the time it takes to swap out the mods. And it's going to be a lot easier because, like for me, I have a ton of mods that I have to sort through. So having preset mods is going to be huge. And finally, to wrap up, we have the lack of communication and these last-second notices in the game. We have sporadic update posts. Sometimes we can go a week or two without any kind of meaningful update of what's going on in the game, what they're working on. We kind of get these things of, yeah, we hear you, it's something that's being considered, or hey, look forward to the surprise very soon. We usually don't get substantial updates. Now, granted, this week we got a huge update with the Darkside Territory Battles, the Chimera event, the upcoming Guild v Guild, the Halloween event for Night Sisters, the Night Sisters rework. There's all this stuff coming in, and that was a nice update, but there have been times where we just get weeks without any kind of update. Another thing here to note is the last second notices on characters. Thrawn and Chimera come to mind for this. If you guys remember when Thrawn was first announced, we did not know what was going to be needed for him. We theorized it was going to be Phoenix, and they finally told us, yeah, Phoenix is going to be needed, and we had a week to farm up Phoenix before the Thrawn event started. Now, with that time, we were able to get at least a 5-star Phoenix team, so you can at least get a 5-star Thrawn, which was nice. But then the Chimera came in, and now we have to get the Ghost and Phantom 2 up to 5 stars or better to get the Chimera through another legendary event. And they did increase the double drops on the Ghost and Phantom 2 in the hard nodes for 3 days, but that's not long enough. And the only way you could get Ghost or Phantom shards is through the packs, through the store, which is pretty expensive and not a good idea in the first place, or through the fleet store, and it's 400 currency for 5 shards of one of those ships. So there have been last second notices like this. This has been a problem with the game overall. It induces this panic farming mode for players. They're throwing money at the game to try and get these characters farmed up in time to get these characters, because let's face it, Thrawn's Chimera ship is pretty much one of the best, if not the best capital ship in Fleet Arena. It is absolutely incredible what it can do, and the fact that we're having to panic farm to get him is not good for the game. It leaves a lot of resentment with your player base, and that's not something good for anybody. It puts a lot of distrust with the player base into the developers, and we kind of see it as a money grabbing tactic, and that really hurts the reputation overall. You have other things like the broken character cadence. Ewoks come to mind with this. Ewoks got their rework back in July. We got 3 new Ewoks, Logray, Wicket, and Paplu. And in that time, we had the character cadence where 4 to 6 weeks they'd be in a little pack that you could get for 5 to 330 shards of them for a pretty good price of crystals. And then 4 to 6 weeks after that, they would be in chromium packs. So you could buy them there for 4 to 6 weeks, and then after that they would go to some kind of hard node or some kind of shipments or something where you could then farm them up so you could have them. But that was back in July. It is now October, and we still cannot farm any of those 3 Ewoks. Now granted, Wicked's supposed to be only through the Heroic Battle event. We still have no way of getting Logray and Papalu outside spending crystals for them, and that is a problem. That is an absolutely broken character cadence. That is not holding to the promise that CG gave us when they told us the character cadence. That does not look good for them, and that is a huge problem because now we can't put any trust in the character cadence system. Why would we believe them anymore when they say, hey, this is our schedule, look forward to this character being here in this amount of time, when it's been 5 months and we still can't farm Ewoks? Now granted, a lot of people don't care about the Ewoks. It's not about the Ewoks, it's about the principle of the system, and the system has been broken, and that is not a good look for CG, and that is not good for having players trust in the developers. So they need to get back on that character cadence system, and if it's not something they can follow through, they need to scrap it, and they need to give a new system, and they need to tell us what the new system is, because right now the character cadence system does not look like it's working. So that is something that CG needs to work on. This is a bit of a long-winded video, apologies. This is kind of a rant, this is kind of presenting problems that the community is having with CG overall. This is just me talking to CG, pleading to them, listen to this video, listen to your player base. We have concerns, there are complaints, we need you guys to listen to us. I know negative feedback is not fun. I hate negative feedback, everybody hates negative feedback. It's not fun, but it is vital to listen to it because it is a great way for things to change. It's a great way to ensure trust with your player base, and that is something that CG desperately needs to do right now. So that is it for this video, guys. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask down below. I will do what I can to answer them. But as always, guys, I hope you all have enjoyed this video. I will talk to you guys later.